Think of the person who hurt you the most. Maybe they lied to you, betrayed your trust, or broke your heart. Just their name brings up a sting in your chest. Now let me ask you, how long do you want to keep carrying them inside you? We've all been hurt. Some wounds are small, others are life-changing. But almost all of us carry some memory of being wronged. And when we carry these hurts, they often sit inside us quietly, shaping how we live. They affect how we trust, how we open up, even how we see ourselves. But here's the key. Forgiveness is not about excusing the hurt. It's not about saying it was okay. It's about finding a way to untie the knot inside us, so that the past no longer controls our present. That's what today's talk is about. Not forgiveness as a moral duty. Not forgiveness as something you are obliged to do. But forgiveness as a psychological practice. A skill you can learn and a tool for your own freedom. Before we dive into the how to forgive, let's be very clear about what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not pretending the wound didn't matter. It is not reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still decide never to see them again. It is not instant. Some hurts take time, layers, repetition, and gentle revisiting. And it is definitely not weakness. It takes enormous strength to let go of anger when every cell in your body wants to hold on. So what is it then? Forgiveness is a deliberate choice to release the emotional burden of resentment, even when it feels justified. It's the difference between carrying a stone in your pocket every day and deciding to finally set it down. Let's talk about why forgiveness is so powerful. Psychologists have found that holding onto resentment literally keeps our bodies in a state of stress. Blood pressure stays higher. Sleep quality suffers. Our immune system weakens. Anxiety and depression increase drastically. Resentment is like an emotional tax you pay every day. A hidden weight that drains your energy, creativity, and joy. And here is the paradox. The person who hurt you is not paying this price. You are the one living with it every day. Think resentment like carrying a backpack full of rocks. At first it doesn't seem too bad. But after days, months, or even years, the weight becomes unbearable. Forgiveness is the act of setting that backpack down. It is not about them. It is about you. To understand forgiveness, let's look at what happens in the brain when we're wronged. When someone hurts us, our amygdala, the brain's alarm system, fires up. It activates anger, fear, and the fight or flight response. Even if the event is over, our mind replays it again and again. Each replay reactivates that threat response. It's like the wound keeps reopening. We build what psychologists call injustice narratives. These are the stories we tell ourselves. It is unfair. They should pay. I can't move on until they make it right. Here is the trick. These narratives feel protective, but they actually keep us trapped. They keep the nervous system hooked on the hurt. So forgiveness is about rewriting that narrative, shifting from a loop of anger to a path of release. I want to share with you a few practical methods, backed by research, that make forgiveness possible. Here is the first method. It's called cognitive reframing. That's just a fancy way of saying, looking at the same situation from a different angle. We usually see hurt as a personal attack. But often their behavior came from their own limitations, fear, immaturity, and unawareness. For instance, your best friend told others a secret you confided. At first the story is, they did this because they don't respect me. But when you reframe, you realize that they acted out of insecurity, trying to fit in. It doesn't excuse them, but it makes the wound less about you and more about their limitations. Try this. Write down the story of what happened in detail. Then, rewrite the story imagining the offender's limitations. What fears might have been driving them? What are the blind spots? This doesn't excuse them. It doesn't justify the harm. But it shifts the meaning. It makes the story less about your worth and more about their humanity. Next, let's talk about emotional release. Forgiveness can't really happen if you have never allowed yourself to feel the full weight of the pain. Here is a mistake people often make. They try to forgive without first feeling the full range of their anger, sadness, or grief. But you cannot release what you haven't fully acknowledged. Imagine this. You discover your partner has been unfaithful. The moment you find out, it feels like your stomach drops, like the floor is gone beneath you. You replay every detail in your head. The messages you saw, the lies they told, the way they looked at you while hiding the truth. For weeks, maybe months, you hold it all in. You try to keep moving, try to be strong, maybe even try to jump straight into forgiveness because you don't want to feel weak or bitter. But deep down, the anger is still there. It twists in your chest every time their name comes up, every time you remember how you trusted them. Here is the problem. You can't forgive what you haven't felt. If you skip straight to letting it go, the anger just buries itself deeper. So here's an exercise. Take a notebook and write them a letter, not a polite letter, not a letter you'll ever send, but a raw, furious letter. Write exactly what you want to scream. Write down how betrayed you felt, how much they broke your trust, how their choices tore something inside you. Let yourself swear, accuse, rage. Don't censor a single word. When you are done, read it out loud if you can. Hear your own voice saying the truth of your pain. And then destroy it. Rip it up. Burn it. Tear it into pieces. That act of expression, getting the poison out of your system, is the beginning of emotional release. Only after you allow yourself to fully feel the betrayal, in all its rawness, can forgiveness slowly begin to grow. Here are some other practical exercises. Voice release. Record yourself speaking your anger out loud. Let your tone be raw. Then delete the file. Physical release. Pound a pillow. Go for a run. Dance wildly. Emotions live in the body, and the body needs to let them move. Forgiveness often begins only after these emotions have been fully expressed. Another powerful tool is perspective taking. This doesn't mean excusing someone's behavior. It means trying to see them as human rather than as a monster. Ask yourself, if I had lived their life, with their childhood, their wounds, their fears, would I have acted differently? Maybe your father walked out when you were young. For years you thought, he abandoned me because I wasn't lovable. But when you step back, you realize, he was drowning in his own trauma. He was weak, not because you lacked value, but because he lacked capacity. That shift doesn't excuse him, but it softens the bitterness. This doesn't erase the harm, but it can introduce compassion. And compassion is the bridge to forgiveness. We can't overlook the following. Sometimes the hardest forgiveness is the forgiveness of yourself. Maybe you stayed too long in a toxic relationship. For years you tell yourself, I was stupid. I was weak. But when you practice self-compassion, you say instead, I was doing my best with what I knew at the time. I was trying to survive. That shift lets shame begin to dissolve. Self-forgiveness is crucial because unresolved self-blame often blocks forgiveness of others. Try this. Write down the harshest words you say to yourself. Then imagine a close friend saying those same words about themselves. How would you respond? Probably with kindness, reassurance, and perspective. Offer yourself that same compassion. Now, let's go deeper. Radical forgiveness is not just about letting go. It's about transforming the story itself. The process looks like this. Tell your story completely. Allow yourself to feel it. Don't ignore it. Ask yourself, what is this experience teaching me about myself? Recognize the humanity of the other person. Consciously release the need for payback. Imagine this. You've been working at your job for years, always giving your best. One day, you discover that a coworker you trusted has been taking credit for your ideas. You feel betrayed, angry, even humiliated when your boss praises them for work you know you did. At first, the resentment eats at you. You replay the conversations in your head, imagining all the ways you could have exposed them. You think, why should I forgive? They don't deserve it. But here's where radical forgiveness shifts the story. Instead of staying stuck in, why me? You ask, what can this experience teach me? Maybe you realize that you need stronger boundaries and clearer communication about your contributions. Maybe it wakes you up to the fact that you've been too quiet about your own value. In a strange way, this betrayal pushes you to speak up, to stand taller, to own your ideas publicly. Forgiveness here doesn't mean you let the coworker keep stealing credit. You can still address the issue. But radical forgiveness means you transform the pain into growth. Instead of just being a victim, you walk away with stronger self-respect. Radical forgiveness reframes pain into meaning. Here are more tools you can practice, even with small everyday resentments. First, practice is a daily forgiveness meditation. Close your eyes. Visualize someone you feel resentment toward. Acknowledge the hurt. Imagine saying, "You no longer control me. I release you." Next one is the empty chair exercise. Place an empty chair in front of you. Speak to the person as if they're sitting there. Say everything you've wanted to say. Then imagine telling them, "I am forgiving you." Next exercise is a gratitude shift. After processing pain, write down one thing you gained, even if it's only strength. Gratitude prevents bitterness from hardening. And the last practice is micro-forgiveness. Start small. Practice forgiving little daily irritations, like the person who cut you off in traffic. These small practices build the muscle for larger forgiveness. Of course, some wounds are too raw. Some trauma is too heavy. In those cases, forgiveness may feel impossible. And that's okay. Forgiveness is not something you can force. Sometimes healing must come first, through therapy, trauma work, or simply time. Sometimes the goal is not full forgiveness, but reducing bitterness just enough to live freely. Even a small step is progress. Forgiveness is not a one-time act. It's a practice. Some days you will feel you have forgiven. Then something triggers you, and the anger returns. That doesn't mean you failed. It means you're human. It means the work continues. But each time you choose to let go, even a little, you reclaim a piece of your energy, your freedom, your power. Forgiveness doesn't change the past. It doesn't erase what happened. But it changes the way the past moments live in you. So ask yourself now, what weight am I ready to set down today? The truth is, forgiveness doesn't free them. Forgiveness is the gift you give yourself. Forgiveness won't erase your story, but it will allow you to write the next chapter on your own terms. And maybe, just maybe, that's the greatest freedom you will ever know.